Good evening, everyone. This is another episode of the Tall and Short of It podcast coming to you live from another snowy evening. It's a Thursday night. I'm so sorry that we're a little bit late. Aaron, my co-host, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. It is a very snowy evening. I had a weird, not weird drive, but a stressful drive to and from work today.
A
Just,
stressful drive.
I mean, driving in the snow in a little Toyota Corolla is not the most ideal situation.
Well,
But
and how far do you have to go?
so the property I was at today is about 12-ish miles, but it's not really convenient driving. The easier ways to go are all kind of side roads more than like highway driving or anything, so made it a little bit more concerning. But
Gotcha.
got up a little early, took it a little slower, and it was fine.
Nice.
So
Now, did you encounter any of classic Pennsylvania snow drivers?
fortunately not.
That's good.
Well, not on the way there. On the way home, a little bit. There were some people that just were not sharing the road super well. You know, 2 lane or 4 lane road, 2 lanes going each way, and they've turned their side into a 1 lane road and
Right.
things like that. Just
Gotcha.
casually driving down the line, the dotted line. So
You hate to see it. You hate to see it because it's so dangerous. You never know what they're doing. They're going to end up killing you, your kid, or your dad. Who knows?
that's the biggest thing is like you don't really know what people are going to do, and people always think I'm crazy. I always say that I really like driving in New York, which
Okay.
I mean most people are like there's so many cars, it's crazy, whatever, you don't know what to do. But for me, I look at it and I'm like I know what everyone's going to do because no one hesitates. Everyone, like, if you leave enough space for a car in between you and the next guy, someone's fitting in there. Like,
Okay.
you, like, guaranteed, you can expect every single person to cut you off and they'll do it. And, like, you just know what everyone's going to do because no one hesitates. They're just going to,
Uh,
like,
okay.
they're just gunning it wherever they go.
Right.
So if you just expect everyone to just be aggressive, you're fine. Like when I lived down in DC, even though it's another big city area,
Right.
like people are hesitating and they don't know where they're going. They don't know which exit they're getting off at. They're going off on the exit and then coming back onto the highway. And I'm like, you people suck.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So New Yorkers are a little more confident. They know where they're going. They know what they're doing.
Oh, 100%. And
All right.
so
Shout out
I
New York then.
I appreciate that when I'm driving because the
Okay.
hesitating like worries me because like
Right.
you said, don't know what they're gonna do.
Right.
So
Okay. All right. I can't say I have too much experience driving in New York, but I'll take your word for it.
well, on a weird side story with that, the first time I drove up to New York City, I was going up with my buddy Shane. We're uh, going up and visiting friends from college on Long Island. So we get
Okay.
up to the Lincoln Tunnel. I'm following the GPS, and my at the time my dad had like the old school GPS. I wasn't on my phone, so for whatever reason, it takes us through the Lincoln Tunnel. We're going through the Lincoln Tunnel. My GPS loses connection, and I'm driving my dad's 96 Honda Civic that's a stick shift. And so at the end of the tunnel, you can go right or you can go straight.
Okay.
I go straight because my GPS hasn't connected. I should have gone right. And I end up in downtown Manhattan next to this giant store called Spandex World. It's just
Nice.
plastered windows like 3 stories high with like leggings and
Hell yeah.
stuff like that.
Wait, were you in the market for leggings? Is that where you wanted to be?
It was not where I wanted to be.
Okay.
I haven't been in the market for leggings too frequently.
I love a
So
good spandex, though, you know?
it just, when you pull it off your leg and let it go back and it just has that
Ooh,
snap.
that snap. It's so nice.
But yeah, that's the only time I was not feeling super great about driving in New York because stick shift in downtown Manhattan's not
Yeah,
ideal.
that'd be a tough one. That'd be a
Yeah.
real tough one.
Yeah, it took me a little time to figure out where we were going. So
Right. Well, I'm glad you got through it. You're here safe now.
Survived. Yep.
Nice. Glad to
It,
hear it, man. Glad to
yeah.
hear it. So, how was your week? Well, I think we have a pretty good show set up here for the people.
Yeah, week's been pretty good. Had my first therapy on Monday, so that was solid.
Hell yeah. How did it go?
It was good. Got to lay like the base framework for everything. So
Right.
just like going over a bunch of different stuff that I want to talk about, work through,
Right.
and things like that. So, but overall, pretty good.
Well, you can just get into that right now and be as specific as you want to.
That's about as specific as I want to right now. So,
Okay. I understand.
but yeah, how was your
Damn.
week, man?
I would say my week has been all right so far. The snow is always a pleasure. It's a little bit of a snow day. Um,
So, how does that
uh,
work for you guys with like do you guys still have any clients or is everything kind of pushed off, rescheduled?
well, we tend to just push it off and reschedule because the landlord for both the apartment and the office, he has to come through and plow, and he has a couple other properties, so he doesn't tend to get here till like the afternoon.
Gotcha.
But if they're proactive with it, we can like it's not gonna derail anything for tomorrow, you
Okay.
know.
That's good.
But the snow that came in today, we had one client in the evening, and most of the time it's up to them. Like we live right down the road, so we can just walk there.
Yeah.
But it's up to like clients and how comfortable they feel.
That's
But
fair.
so we just had one cancel. It gives us a nice snow day. We got some stuff done around the house.
Nice.
But yeah, man, other than that, works good. I enjoyed watching the LCS games. I enjoyed watching the one of the main things that we'll get into for F1. I enjoyed watching the McLaren launch, seeing Lando and Ricardo in the car and driving around and all
Yeah.
that.
It was cool.
Um, it seemed like they were quite pleased to be back doing it, so that's always good to see. But yeah, man, just looking forward to the episode this evening and ready to get into it.
Cool. Well, you just hit on it for F1. We've got a couple of those topics. The one I just wanted to touch on briefly, just some brief news, but for anyone who doesn't know, Fernando Alonso is working back from an injury. He was actually hit by a car while cycling, which is definitely pretty scary. So glad he's doing well. Seems to be recovering, starting to do some training to work himself back, but the main injury was really just a broken jaw, which I can't imagine that has to suck a lot.
Right. Well, he wasn't a guy that seemed to smile too often, so it
True.
may be all right.
Yeah, I
But as
think
I understand, he got out of the hospital just the other day and cleared and ready to go.
yeah, very recently. So he's I mean, I've seen a couple pictures of him getting back into training and everything. He looks like he's
Nice.
doing all right. So definitely a good thing with that from a pretty shitty situation. So
Yeah.
glad he's doing well. Um, and then we were looking at the engine freeze. So tell me a little bit about what you saw about the engine freeze and everything going on.
Well, I think what's interesting is it'll give I don't know. I don't know if it'll be the fact that they get the engine freeze and then we'll be using the Honda engine until 2025.
Mm,
It seems to me like Red Bull may be coming out a little bit ahead on this
I
than some of the other teams because they're not having to swap their power unit right away
yeah.
or try and scramble to find another constructor that they're going to buy from. So I think they get I think they get the meat and the potatoes there, which is interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I also think Ferrari kind of got a good deal out of it as well, because now they get to I feel like play catch up with some of their issues that they've had over the past season with their engine and everything. I think that'll give
Right.
them an opportunity to kind of work, and Mercedes can't just continue to like pull ahead of the pack with everything. So I hope that ends up leading to a little bit of a tighter group. But yeah, I think the Red Bull deal with it works out really well. I was watching some content about it, and they're looking to put together their own like team to take over the engine. Probably pull a lot of staff from the Honda team,
Right.
um, but this can allow them, if they really develop their like factory, their design and everything, that we could actually see some Red Bull engines in the future if they put the right team together. So it won't be like a Honda engine that's being produced by Red Bull. It'll be just like a Red Bull engine, which is going to
Oh,
be
and then
interesting.
Red Bull would be a constructor then and be selling the
Yeah, they'll
engines.
be an engine supplier too, so they would be doing that for them and Alpha
Ooh.
Tauri at least, and then I guess have the
Right.
opportunity or the option to potentially do the same for other teams if other teams are interested. So
Interesting.
hop in with Ferrari, Mercedes, and Renault.
Right.
So I think that's a pretty interesting thing because I know that with this happening, it was at one point a kind of a concern that Red Bull would leave F1 because the barrier to entry or having to buy an engine and things like that were a
Right.
bit of a concern. But at this point, if they do take that on, they put the whole factory and supply line and everything together to build their own engines. I think it kind of locks them into F1 for a long time if they're putting that much effort and all into it. I don't think we'll see them going away like some of these other teams. Racing Point getting bought out by Aston Martin and different things like that happening.
Well, and do you think that gives them the opportunity then to increase their dive towards the top of the standings, because then they're not having to worry about the power unit car meshing issue? They're being able to build it from the ground up. It's coming right from them. How much do you think that factors in their like points equivalent? Like, do you think that gains them however many points a race? You know what I mean?
It's tough to say because I think it's hard to really say whether or not that will add points to them, just in terms of they still have to make a good engine.
Right.
Like they still have to get the same kind of performance that you're seeing from the other competitors.
Right.
But if they're able to keep kind of the level of performance that the Honda engine has had over the past couple years, I think overall it's definitely a plus to be able to just seamlessly work that into a vehicle like Mercedes and Ferrari do with theirs. So overall, I definitely think it's a good thing. Whether it gains them anything on Mercedes in the point standings and everything, I'm not so sure, but it has
So then I
potential
guess the
to.
question would be, why do it? Why undertake that? If they don't think that they can do it better and it's going to gain them performance, why do it?
Well, I think they do think it would, but I also think that it, even though the initial cost of like getting the facilities and everything together is kind of high, I think in the long run, the cost of manufacturing your own engine as opposed to buying from a supplier is
Right.
probably a decent bit lower.
Gotcha.
So I think that would be, because otherwise, like, why wouldn't every team just do their own engine too?
Yeah.
Other than like, I don't know, finding the right people or whatnot. But I think overall, I think in the long run, it's going to be beneficial cost wise. So, and I think if they do take on a lot of the Honda staff for the F1 engine, then they're in a pretty good position because those guys have proven that they can put together a pretty good engine. So,
Right. Right. They're halfway there.
yeah, exactly. So,
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, yeah. So hopefully, good things on the horizon for Red Bull then, and hopefully this is a step in the right direction towards putting a nail in Mercedes' casket.
Yeah, and I mean, just in general, like I said, I think it helps pull Ferrari in as well, and hopefully Renault also, to be able to kind of bridge the gap between them and the top, to hopefully make some more competitive racing. I think that makes it a lot more fun, and that's good for F1. So
Yeah, I agree. Now, the one thing that has been interesting to see in the off-season conversations. Now, what have you read about the sprint races and the changing or testing of a new qualifying format?
I haven't read much on it recently. I remember, so it's been proposed a number of times, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Um, and a lot of times it's just been kind of batted down, and
Right.
especially like having the reverse race qualifiers and things like that. And
Hmm.
um, there's a lot
Well,
of.
that seems less exciting than the sprint race.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think the sprint race is kind of a better fit for it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm really not sure how different it's going to end up being. I feel like it's still going to stack up relatively similarly to qualies anyway.
Right.
So I don't think it'll change a lot in terms of position, but it does give a little more fighting. It's not all about just being able to hopefully get open air in front of you during a qualifier, or trying to race
Right.
people out of the pits to be the first one, or getting a slipstream from your teammate to put up a good lap.
Right.
You get a little more kind of dogfighting and racing going on.
Yeah, that to me sounds kind of fun, right?
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
think it definitely will be fun. I just don't know if overall it's going to change how things are in terms of starting positions for the actual race.
Right.
But
Well, there's something that would make it feel maybe it would give an opportunity or highlight a different kind of skill in the drivers. Like maybe Charles Leclerc isn't as precise as Lewis to be able to get those fastest laps all the time,
yeah,
but maybe in like a 10 lap shootout, he's super strong. Like on a set of softs, maybe his overtaking skill is actually stronger than Valtteri's and Max's and this and that. So maybe he would benefit from that kind of qualifying. So I don't know. I don't know how much that could ever factor in, but it just seems interesting to explore at least. I'm not saying I'm like out here, raising my hand for that option, but
well,
it was
yeah,
just an interesting conversation.
no, definitely. And I mean, we saw a number of times throughout the season as well that there have been racers. I mean, the one race Kimmy made up 10 places on the first lap. So, like,
Right,
or I
right.
think there was a time Lando went from like 13th to 6th on the first lap or something crazy like that.
Mhm.
Like, there are guys that know how to race well from the start, and I think that the sprint races will benefit those guys. So kind of like you were saying, like who knows if this guy might be better at this or that, whatnot. In that shorter race scenario, I think that
Right.
will, yeah, it'll make a good show of who's able to perform in that. So
Even if it didn't fully decide the standings, even if it was like, so you combine some kind of points from qualies, like traditional qualies, and then some kind of points from the sprint races, you average that together, and then that is, equals your grid position or something like that. So you're not taking like one over the other all the time.
yeah, I think the main thing would just be figuring out the time constraints for it. Honestly, being able to fit a lot of that into a weekend might be kind of tough.
Well,
So
they have 3 free
that's
practices.
true. Yeah.
What if you just say, all right, just two practices on Friday and then like sprint race. So free practice 3 is a sprint race, a 5-lap
Yeah.
shootout.
That would work then in terms of
You
like
know,
that wouldn't really affect it. I was thinking I guess if they kept the free practice sessions, then added a sprint race and had some sort of
ah,
qualifying, like that
these
would get
motherfuckers have been on these tracks so many times. How many times you got to drive around it? Come
hey
on.
man, you got rookies like Fernando Alonso out
Whatever.
there.
That's what the driver's tests are for, bro. Play the sim, man. You know the turns. Stop it. You don't need that much fucking practice.
Yeah, that's probably pretty
Well,
fair.
and a lot of it isn't for the drivers, obviously. They have the techs looking at all the data and looking at
Right.
lap times and tire burn and all that kind of stuff. And, fair enough. It's not all for the drivers and like just learning the track. It's seeing how the car is performing
Right.
on that track. I get it, but
Yeah. No, I think
a sprint race would be fun.
well, and
That's
at the
all.
same time, like, if you take out one of those practice sessions, there were a few races this season that they took out practice sessions due
Yeah,
to
just for
weather and stuff
scheduling
like
reasons, and
that,
it
and
seemed
schedule.
fine.
Yeah, so I think overall, if you add that in, take out FP3 and throw the sprint race there, why not?
Right.
So should be
Yeah, I
fun.
think that'd be a good look.
Have they? Are they talking about doing that this season, or is that more down the road? I don't remember.
If I remember correctly, they were talking about adding it in, like testing it for on like 3 weekends during this season. I believe the initial conversation was in the negatory, but there still seems to be ample support for it from some of the squads, and I believe that's via Mr. Will Buxton. I believe that's what I heard in his commentary.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have
Yeah,
to look a little more into that because I feel relatively uninformed on it. But if they try it out for like 3 races this year,
I think it'd be exciting.
why not? You've got 22 of them. Like, it's not going to affect things that much to give it a shot. So I cannot complain about that. So
I'm always down for things to be more racy.
yeah, get some extra excitement out there and just change things up. I think if you stay with the same like system, routine, and everything, it can get a little stagnant. So why not shake things up?
No, I definitely agree.
But
I definitely agree.
yeah,
Now, what do you think about the old orange and blue, the old Syracuse colors?
hey, I mean, looks good as ever.
Looks like an F1 car.
It does. I was well, just like I was saying before we hopped on, like watching it live. I was watching it live on Twitter, the
Right.
announcement and everything. And first, it's
Hell
like
yeah.
they're interviewing Daniel and they're interviewing Lando and asking them this questions, having fans come up on the screen to ask them questions and talk live, like a little Zoom question
Dude.
thing, which was funny. But everyone's sitting there typing in the Twitter chat. They're like, show the car, we want to see the car. As soon as they show it, they're like, it looks the same, it looks like it's like you said, it's an F1 car. Like,
Yo, that's so funny. Well, they wanted a different paint design. They wanted you to do something different with the graphics and the decals or whatever the fuck.
but that matte orange and the blue, they just look so good. You don't have to go with something crazy new every year. Like,
Sure.
the reason Mercedes is called the Silver Arrows is because they had a silver car for so many years in a row that they got
Right.
that nickname. So they were even called the Silver Arrows last year when they had a black livery. Like, that's Mercedes because they've had the same color scheme for so many
Right.
years. Like,
Right.
you're not going to see, like, when Red Bull comes out, it's going to be a mainly blue car with some red and yellow. I'm sorry to disappoint everyone, but they're not going to come out with a bright red car with like blue highlights. It's not going to happen. And if it does, I don't know what I'll do, but I should have to do something because I said it won't. Like,
That's a pretty good point. Yeah. So, like, what is that? Is that people kind of like hyping up? s- It seems like they're doing something.
well, it's just funny because like, I mean, almost every sports team, they have the same jerseys every season. They're not
Dude,
like, you
Dude,
maybe
no.
throw
I've
in
seen
like
some sick football jerseys and there's some dumb football jerseys.
yeah, but like
That's just on a little bit of a difference here and there. You throw a little bit of a gradient, a little cube here, a little that there. It looks
you
pretty
can
cool.
change some stuff up, but like teams don't do it that frequently. Like the
Right.
Philadelphia Eagles, they've thrown in the retro jersey here and there, like one
Right.
game a season, but like they're usually wearing the same colors, the same jersey that they've worn for the past
Well,
like
no, it's not about the colors. They're not saying the colors. It's how they're laid out on the vehicle.
yeah,
And that you can mess with significantly. You can portray that that color scheme in any number of ways.
you
And
can.
they're just upset that it looks similar to last year's.
Yeah, I just don't know what their expectations are. Like I don't know.
Artistic
If
genius.
they then they should
They
design
want a
a
fucking Warhol on that
they
thing.
should design a livery for themselves and put it out there on Twitter and say, McLaren, I'm sick of you doing the same thing. Do something fun and throw it out there.
Well, what happens is they mock up their own liveries on the F1 game, but none of their friends want to look at their gallery, so it just goes unappreciated.
Oh, devastating. That
Fucking
has
squeebs.
that has to hurt.
I know.
Their artist, the artist within is just not being able to come out.
Dude, but what about the people on that wall, man? Just sitting in front of their cameras like
Yeah, pretty weird.
with their fucking McLaren hats on, just like waving when they were cued, like, yeah, we love Danny.
Well, that was like there were some other sports that did those kind of like the NBA playoffs
So
last
corny.
year that they had in the bubble down in Florida.
Right.
They had no fans, but on the sidelines of the games, the entire sideline was just TV screens with picture in picture of all these different fans, and you could like, I forget how they did it, if you could pay something to be like in one of the things on the side of the it was
Oh man.
it just looked so goofy, and I'm like,
Dude.
it also has so much risk of someone doing something weird. Like personally,
Yeah, just putting an asshole up to the fucking camera, like, look at my hole, dude.
like the risk, especially when that stuff's live, the risk is high.
Right, right.
People
Just a dangler in front of the camera, you know?
people are weird, man. People are gonna do weird stuff on the internet.
For sure.
I have very low expectations for people who are relatively anonymous on the internet. Like low
It's not healthy.
expectations.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
Very low expectations. So, yeah, I mean, I like it. It looks good. I have no issues with it. There was some structural design changes since they're moving from that from the Renault power unit to the Mercedes.
Right.
But overall, I still
That's
like
the
it.
meaningless stuff. We only care what the color is. We don't care about the arrow. What?
I still like it, man. I still think
Fucking wind tunnel performance. I don't give a fuck. How's that orange look, baby?
just as good as ever, in my opinion. Apparently not to the other
Hell
Twitter,
yeah.
to the Twitter sphere.
Well, I mean, we all know we're only here to please the Twitter mobs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you can find us at tall and short of one, the number one on Twitter.
Got him. That's a plug.
But yeah, that was it was fun. It was a cool thing to get to see. Not as exciting or hype. Like I was expecting a little bit more of some crazy cinematic where you've got like drone shots flying around with the car underneath going through a course, and it's like slowly zooming in on each separate shot where you're getting closer and closer, and then it's like boom, the car.
Wait, I don't know. I don't know why you think McLaren would have the kind of money that Riot does. But there's no way you could do a show better than Riot Games. Come
Hey
on, you think
man,
McLaren can afford a fucking Elder Dragon to fly through a fucking stadium?
I'm not talking
Fucking
CGI. I'm talking little Pete down the road with his cell phone on top of his his drone that he bought.
no, no, but that's what I'm saying. They're so small-minded that they're not going to do something huge and out of the box.
Yeah, I was
You know?
expecting like the car commercials where you see it driving through the mountain road and stuff from this bit.
Oh.
Like I wasn't expecting anything crazy, but I was expecting a little more cinematic than them to be like, "Here, Danny and Lando, grab one side of the tarp and pull it off the car. There it is, everyone."
Right,
Like I wanted a
right.
little bit of like a 30-second video before. It's like showing little clips and angles that you can't fully see the car, and then they like pull the tarp off and it's like
Oh,
fully
so you want a
there.
strip tease for an F1 car?
Hell yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Fucking get on that pole.
That's what
Get
I
on that pole, you dirty
what
vehicle.
do you think I'm paying for in the F1 TV subscription?
Yo. Wait. I thought this was McLaren's OnlyFans. Holy
Oh.
shit.
But yeah, no, I like the car. I'm excited though for we've got some more announced dates for other car
Right.
announcements and launch dates. So we've got Alpha Tauri tomorrow on the 19th.
Hell yeah.
Alfa Romeo on the 21st on Sunday. Alpine and Mercedes both on March 2nd. Aston Martin on the 3rd. Williams on the 5th. Ferrari on the 10th. So we've got over the next couple days, we've got a couple more. And then coming up at the beginning of March, we've got a bunch. So
Damn. That's crazy that Mercedes is choosing to share their date.
I know. I mean, I think they know that everyone's going to be looking at their car and not Alpine, but
I
no,
don't know.
that's fair. Alpine's gonna have the new livery with the new colors and everything, so
Mm-hmm.
switching up from the Renault yellow and black. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so maybe they'll do it back to back. Let Alpine go first, and then everyone will be like, "Oh, we saw that. Now we gotta. We're already watching. Might as well just
Right.
hop right over to Mercedes and see."
Yeah, dominate the airwaves. Viewer numbers just skyrocket.
Yeah. Well, and retain all the people who wanted to see Alpine. So
Right.
gotta just keep it going. Um, but yeah, so we've got some. We'll get to see some cool liveries. We'll have to
The liveries.
take a good look at them once everything is fully announced. So got some small excitement coming up.
Yeah. No races, but we have paint.
We have paint.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and you like you said, Riot Games. We had some pretty exciting matches with
I'm a transition
LCS.
master.
I know. But LCS over the weekend was pretty fun to watch. I enjoyed the games. What were you thinking as you were going through the games?
That that the top lane seems like the difference,
Top difference?
top difference. Um just as far as like just the North American meta overall, it feels like it's top lane focused a little bit.
I would say so. Yeah, I think that makes the bigger difference. And I mean, that's where all the mid lane globals are going. Like they're
Right.
not they're
Well, that's the thing, and the Talias and the yeah.
yeah. No, there's definitely a big focus, which I think
Is going to be the one that
that kind
likely
of adds into some
as
of
well.
the
So I want to
interest
see.
for me, just because one of the teams I wanted to talk about, Dignitas, their top laner Fake God is not someone who has been like he's not some stud top laner or anything like that.
No, and
Um,
on a list on a list of like someday Hooney, Alfari, Licorice, his name goes pretty far down the list.
yeah, I mean even just looking at the like some stats and everything for him, he's pretty middling in terms of that. But Dignitas has been performing really well, which I've been really impressed by. They've honestly looked awesome. Um, but yeah, I think it is weird with it being a top lane focused meta that everything has been.
Middle of
Um,
everybody.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at some
No, you're
stats and
good.
everything.
You're good.
Yeah, with it being such a top lane focused meta, I think in general for the NALCS, seeing Dignitas play so well has been pretty cool because they're kind of going against the mold a little bit.
Now, the other thing that has been standing out is the like pick and bans for jungle.
Mm.
The pinching of the jungle pool is pretty brutal, I would say,
Yeah.
from a like just from a best of one pick and ban standpoint.
Oh yeah.
Teams are really honing in on certain junglers, especially Blabber. Like I feel like Blabber is getting nailed in pick and bans.
He is, and I feel like they're targeting him really hard, and to the point where in the which matchup? I think it was the 100 Thieves matchup. He pulled out the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. There were 5 jungle bans against him.
Yeah, which is just nuts. But the fact that he was able to pull out, that was the first Rek'Sai of this season in LCS, and he played it really well. But it is crazy that they're like banning out so many. It really makes it interesting to see how teams are going through the pick ban, and that's why I feel like that it's not the 2v2 of mid jungle, it's that top jungle strength that seems to be like really really strong. So
Right, but then you just have Galio or Twisted Fate in the mid lane, and bang, there's your mid laner then too.
yeah.
You know what are the other globals? You have Talia, that's like semi global.
Twisted
What else do
Fate,
you have?
Galio, Shen,
Shen from the top lane. We saw that.
Nocturne.
Okay, Nocturne in the jungle.
Um,
But isn't Nocturne just like a counter pick for Twisted Fate? So when he
Mostly, yeah.
ults, you just turn off the lights?
Pretty much. Which I'm actually
Okay.
surprised that we haven't seen it yet. Like I don't think it's a bad pick. I think that
It's
they're just
medium
I
though.
think there's just too many other good jungle picks like the Talia, the Graves, the
Right.
like some of those heavy hitters.
And wouldn't you rather like if you're gonna like play on ultimate cooldowns, wouldn't you rather just pick Silas against the Twisted Fate
Oh
and
yeah,
just steal his ult and
some
then just pick something better in the jungle?
something like that, or I think just in general, if a Twisted Fate Ultimate is going to make or break your team, you're already losing. Like taking the Nocturne to counter a Twisted Fate ultimate or something like that, like, you're already behind if you're that worried about the opponent's mid laner just being able to dumpster your mid and roam wherever they please.
Right.
If you are already that concerned that you're picking that as a counter pick and putting your jungler at a potential deficit by not picking one of the stronger junglers,
just to have an answer to a mid lane,
the game's
you're
already
like,
kind of over. You're losing draft hard.
yeah, okay.
So
I'd agree.
I think I like the Nocturne pick as an option, but I don't.
I mean, it's
expect to
okay.
see
It's
it.
medium.
Yeah, it's like it. It's not gonna hard lose you a game, but I don't think it's gonna hard win you a game.
Sure. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, medium is a good way to describe it.
I've been enjoying. I think I said this last time. I've been enjoying the Leona, Alistar, Nautilus. Because I think one of my favorite parts about League in general is like the macro. Like, I want to know what teams are doing. Like the whole what the fuck was Cloud9 support's name? What was his name? The book.
Which
he had the book. They always talked about his fucking book.
Oh, Lemon Nation.
Yeah, they always talked about his fucking book. Like that was just as good as like Marvel Cinematic Universe lore to me. Like, I just love picturing them just like big brain fucking think tanking these just like level 1 synergizing. If we pick, like, I just love all that big brain stuff.
They were, though, because no one else at the time hardly planned at all for pick ban, and so they were one of the first teams to like actually be like, oh, like, let's just win from the draft. And teams were like, wait, what?
Yeah. And so that role in general to me is super exciting. So seeing some of those players who know a good, like, their game IQ is very high. I love seeing them on the playmaking champions where they just know when and how to start a fight. And they pick the champions that give them the tools to do that. And it's always very exciting to watch like a skilled Alistar or a skilled Leona not only control team fights, engage team fights, start team fights, but seeing them protect their AD carry, seeing the macro map movements. Yeah, I think the support role is super exciting to watch, and I think we have some pretty good ones in the league this year.
Yeah, I think overall, I mean, you've got Sword Art, you've got Vulcan, Ignar's really solid.
Yeah, Ignar's really fun to watch. I like Ignar.
Yeah. Like, you do have a pretty stacked support pool. I think comparatively, I mean, Afromu, he's been performing really well. But I mean, I think it's weird for me because support was my least favorite role to play because
it's so influential, though.
I know, but I'm like this in every game I play. I want to be the guy who wins the 1v1. I want to be the guy who puts the team on my back and like I
get all the style points.
I'm okay with like someone else carrying me. Like, that's fine. It's not my most enjoyable way to win a game, but I enjoy it nonetheless.
Right.
But support, I never felt like I could quite do that. But also, good supports can.
And dude, a good support will end the game.
I just couldn't on support, so it wasn't fun for me.
Man, I hear you. I hear you.
But I mean, even in like Cloud9's game versus EG this week, where they didn't they lost the game, Vulcan on the Blitzcrank had some crazy plays that pulled them back in. Like, he was the one Baron the first Baron that Cloud9 ended up getting. They were down people, losing the game. They were able to get a pick. Vulcan kind of hung out and then uses his Hex Flash and pull to get the jungler, to get Svenskeren away from the pit so that they could secure the Baron. Like, huge play. could have turned the game. Didn't end up overall winning them, but it was a sick play.
Right. No, I agree. And there are a lot of players in that role that can make plays like that, and it's always super exciting.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
But I agree. I think that the support meta also lends itself to that. Like seeing Thresh, Blitzcrank, Tom Kench to some extent. Like he makes a big impact, but it's not super fun necessarily. But he's super impactful. So,
well, that's the thing. I don't think there's a more impactful support.
yeah. I just
has a button that says like negate big cooldown,
yeah.
save 80 carry,
It's definitely
win
more
team fight by protecting. Like that button literally says all of those different things on it.
Well, what's worse, watching a Tom Kench save his 80 carry by eating him and running away, or watching a Janna stand behind their 80 carry and just go, shield, shield, tornado, shield, shield. Like, what's more, I think that Tom Kench, you actually have to put yourself close and in the position to get hit. So that makes it a little more exciting.
Well, the difference with Tom Kench is you have the option to go forward. You can eat up your big tank, dive in the ground, and pop up next to their carries and start a fight. Like that's the. Not only do you get the option to save somebody and you get all that utility, but you can start a fight too.
True.
And you can walk on people. The fucking like the cojones on that champion, dude. You just walk up to people. You fucking lick that pussy and get them in there, man.
Very true. You just kind of go after them. Yeah,
Janna can't do that.
Right.
So it's frustrating that he can do so much.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that's I don't know. I think it's more exciting to watch than watching a Janna or a Soraka just sit back and throw heals and shields and stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it's more fun, but also, yeah, not like cool. The champion has a lot in his kit.
Dude, like a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, like if you read the wiki for some of these new champions, the description on the ability is a fucking book long. They're just like, oh, it's got max health damage if this, and if you're standing on this, but if you're upside down, you do that, and you double tap the button, and then you gain this, and everybody has 3 ultimates and 3 passives and 5 moms. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with these champions sometimes.
I know, man. It's something that started to creep in. I'm trying to remember at what point I realized that things were having too much in their kits. It might have been around Gnar. Because I'm like, you get a hop, a 3-hit passive, a massive health boost when you use your ult, a stun, a multi-person stun with your ult, solo stun with your, or not solo stun with your ult. Like, you can be ranged, you can be melee. Like, I think that was the point where I was like, calm down, guys.
Who had champion release timeline? Who had... Is this giving them all in order? It is. Give it to me by release date. And flip it up. There we go. Okay. It was...
Because I think up through... I'm looking at... Also, just side note, the Darius and Draven drop at the same time, the Blood Brothers, was kind of sick. That was a great
Oh, dude,
release.
Draven was busted.
Oh yeah.
If I remember one champion release, it was Draven's, and just how fucking bad he was. I think it was once they started putting like double passives and triple ultimates on people. Like Yasuo has 2 passives.
Yeah.
I think that's when I first started seeing it. Like they were just giving people way too much. But you're right,
Well,
Nar was
he was
3 past him.
Yeah, he was kind of the same, right around that same time frame. Like it's 8 months later or whatever, but overall, like only 3 champions later. I think that's around the time, because then you get Azir, who had his Shurima shuffle and he could dash to his soldiers that also gave him a shield.
Right.
And at the time when it was released, I'm pretty sure if you dash to your soldiers, it not only gave you a shield, but if you hit someone, it knocked them up.
Yes, it was like a CC too.
Yeah, and then
right, so you were rewarded for being next to people.
Right, and then things just started getting weird with like Callista.
Dude, the hopping, dude, how crazy was that? Her movement, like the hopping, people are like, how the fuck do you play this?
It was such a weird, like, I thought controlling Draven's axes and where they fell was hard enough, but like, once trying to figure out Callista's hops at the very beginning of it was not fun.
Yeah, so many cool champions in the game, man. Me and Sarah were talking, and that's been another fun thing about watching them is, Sarah's been watching a lot of the games with me, so we've been enjoying it together, and she's learning about the game and all that, and she's like, oh, this is fun.
Dude, it's like, wild.
Hell yeah, it's a good game.
Learning about all the champions and everything, like, I forget when I realized it. I think it was... I forget when it was, but there... maybe a season and a half or 2 seasons ago, I was thinking about the barrier to entry in terms of learning it to play, and there were like 150 champions or at that point, or I forget how many, 125 or something ridiculous,
right? And
I was sitting there like, if I get in a game, I will know, no matter what, I will know all 10 champions. I won't know the names of their abilities, but I'll know what all their abilities do.
Right.
I know what their passives do.
Right.
I know their play style. And I'm like, that's for 100 and whatever different champions. And I was like, and I know them all. I was kind of disgusted with myself, but also
yeah, I mean, that's the thing with any hobby is it's just like the amount of information you accumulate is insane, especially with this game. Because it's just like exponential, right? Mm-hmm. What I think is funny, looping it back to competitive, what I think is funny is hearing the casters fuck up all these new item names, like, and not really care what the new name is. They just kind of say the old thing. That's been really entertaining because it's just like, yeah, fuck you, Riot. This sucks. This is stupid.
I just think they change too many things so quickly.
All at once.
Yeah, it's so, like, part of the big reason that I stopped playing jungle as frequently was because every single season they changed the jungle. Like, it started out kind of small. At first it was like, oh, well, we're just going to change, like, the number of creeps at each camp. We're going to just shift that around, make your clear a little different. Then they're like, oh, well, we're going to change up the jungle and give you all new jungle items and also slightly change some things. Then they're like, plants in the jungle. Then they're like, dragon changes your entire map. And I was like, what? I was like,
well,
what
and then
is
don't
this?
forget, like, oh, here's a whole new jungle camp. It's just right here next to the wall. We call him Gromp.
Yep. I was like, what are you doing with that?
Yeah.
And then this
Yeah.
season they're like, hey, so we're deleting 15 items that everyone uses, and we're putting in ultimate items or whatever the fuck they're called. Like, I don't even know what the name for these items
Oh
are.
man. Oh man.
It's been a trip. They just
Right.
like throw so many things in, and I'm like, you don't have to do that. You
Right.
can make smaller changes or make it gradual, like do a couple things at a time.
And then it wouldn't be so overwhelming for everybody, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even though I didn't play as much when they announced that they were changing so many things, I was like, I don't have the time.
Right.
It's
To
like,
learn it all, understand what they're for. Like, I think I know Shield Bow and Gore Drinker
yeah,
so far.
I've picked
I
up
don't
on
even know what they do. I just know the name and who
I've picked
builds
up on
them.
some of the items like that in that sense, but
Right.
if I tried to hop into a game right now, I would be lost. Like,
Yeah, I would definitely have to fucking Mobifier that shit.
oh god.
The worst builds on the planet.
Hey man,
Do you want to carry on Oriana? Rush Phantom Dancer. Let me tell you why. They had the
Mobifier,
best builds.
it was interesting. Um I think my favorite was when, what was TSM's website? So well, I think it was solomid.net or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But how they would have their players were like required to put out like videos on champions, I'm pretty
Right.
sure. Like add
Hi,
in,
I'm Dyrus, and this is my guide on Gnar. How you can be a challenger top lane Gnar. Sleepy time Dyrus, here we go.
make sure you have your pillow with you. It's
Dude.
about to get sleepy.
Okay. All right. I'm I'm gonna stop you right there. Okay. I
Okay.
know he is a well-loved member of the community. I don't think any like relatively pseudo-adult person should be allowed to carry around a pillow in the way that he did. It it was a bit creepy to the degree that I might believe that like his parents never hugged him. I don't know them. All I'm saying is he's the only fucking weirdo that needs his like teddy bear or his little blankie, whatever, like up on stage. Like he's doing an interview
Yeah.
with like an attractive adult woman, and he's just like, "This is my pillow to help me win the game, and I just push, I just farm, and did the thing." Everybody loved that guy. Why? It was a weirdo.
It the only thing I can attribute it to is that, well,
Crazy.
there are two things. So one,
No things.
no, I mean the reason he was so loved.
Okay.
So one, nostalgia. He was with the team for so damn long. They had grown over years. He was just like that. He was one of the constants in that team.
Right.
So, like, just like when people were upset when the original Cloud9 started making changes because they were the group of friends that came and dominated LCS. And
Right.
People were like,
They're
oh.
all from North America, man.
Yeah, well, which a lot of teams were at the time. But
Well,
yeah.
that was the thing. It was
Right.
still for like home regions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you were, yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I got you. But so there's the nostalgia factor.
Okay.
And also, I think that a decent enough and vocal enough portion of the community felt like they could maybe relate to him, because I feel like
Brutal.
I'm not saying that in a bad way necessarily. Like, Dyrus and a lot of those guys came up into being professional players in a time that it was
hard to get a girlfriend. I know. I get it.
No, in a time that it was like really frowned upon to be a professional video game player. You still have the stigma of being someone who lives in their mom's basement, and they drink Mountain Dew and eat Doritos, and their keyboard is stained in Cheeto dust, and
And when you bring a pillow on stage, that's exactly what the fuck you look like.
I know, but I think that there is a portion of the community.
So he was the superhero. The pillow was the cape.
Yes.
He was the fuck. That's even grosser than the pillow, sir.
I think there were some people that were like, I feel I'm playing this game and I get judged for playing video games, but this guy is like kind of a little bit different than everyone else, and he's a professional, and like
right.
that's cool because I feel different, and he's out there doing his thing on like this stage in front of 100,000 people with his pillow. Like, good for him, because I feel a little bit different too. So I don't know. I think that there's got to be some relation to something like that people were feeling him on a spiritual connection. Like, I'm not saying that they should have been. I'm just saying that I think those are a couple reasons why.
Yeah, I always found that to be like a totally odd thing. You know, so no, whatever.
Hey, man, I'll get
off my soapbox.
To each their own, but I'm not buying a waifu pillow anytime soon.
Neither am I.
Well, yeah, you already have. No.
Yeah, have you seen my collection? Like, geez, I don't need any more.
I mean, you have a girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend. I'm still not buying one.
You've just been saving up for the robot.
Hell yeah.
Pillow doesn't do it anymore.
It's not good enough.
No. It's gotta be close to the real thing. It can't be the real thing. I'm scared of it. It's gotta be close though.
Close enough.
Yeah. I don't want it to talk or nothing. Jeez.
Yeah, why would I want that? I don't want, like, who would want like a little Build-A-Bear voice box stuffed in it where it says like
Dude, that'd be so funny. Like this hyper real, like, you know, genetically anatomically correct robot, and then it just had this like I love you. And just so like first gen stuffed animal technology in the voice box, just like, you're my best friend. It's like, oh, get out of here, you fucking
demon. Oh jeez.
Oh man.
So League of Legends.
Oh man.
But I guess from
Have you seen my bear Tibbers?
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh shit. That's a deep cut right there. That's a real deep cut.
That's this is so fun. I love that. I love doing this podcast. Just putting that out there.
Holy shit.
But I guess I don't even know how to bring us back on topic from where we were at. But League of Legends, top laners.
It's good stuff, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm really noticing, the top lane meta.
But yeah, I mean, I know, I just don't know how to, I can't just casually go back into conversation from there.
Yeah, that's really tough.
So yeah, we're gonna jump back into talking about this last week's games a little bit. But overall, we had TSM go 3-0. Exciting
Which
stuff.
was pretty impressive, I have to say.
Yeah, I think overall, they had a solid week, and like I was saying with you, looking at this upcoming week, I think that this is their true test of like if they are that third place team or like seeing where the chips fall because they've got a
Do
tough
they play
schedule.
Cloud9?
They do not.
They
They've
play Evil Geniuses, 100 Thieves, that'll be a game, and
and
then Dig,
yep.
which if you're right about Dig being like an actual contender, that may be an actual game.
Right. I mean, well, I think Dig and TSM are both in like the same spot right now.
Okay.
They're tied together, tied in position. Dig's got a pretty tough week, I would say. They've got FlyQuest, which is doing not super great, but not terribly. Then they've got
Right.
Cloud9, and then they've got the TSM matchup. And so I think that this week for both those teams, um, maybe they both go 2-1. Maybe they go 1-2. I don't know. I think it's going to be kind of that early make or breaks point, which sets them apart from whether or not they are going to be able to compete for the top spots with C9 and 100 Thieves or not.
Right.
So
And I think the game between them and 100 Thieves as well is going to be pretty telling, but it looks like 100 Thieves has Golden Guardians, they have TSM and Immortals, of which
I
I TSM is arguably their toughest game, which might not be that tough for them. So overall, I think 100 Thieves has a lighter weekend, which you could factor in as well. But in the best of one scenarios, it's always,
yeah, you never know.
yeah.
I think it's gonna be a pretty good week, and I honestly I kind of think that the Immortals matchup is a trap game a little bit. I think it kind of was this past week for TSM. Like, Immortals hung with them really close for a long time in that game. Um, I really wasn't expecting them to keep it as close as they did with TSM. But TSM eventually obviously pulled away and got the win. But
Right.
I think Immortals might, if they get a good early game, be able to play well against 100 Thieves and kind of contend with them for a little bit.
Okay. So it may not be as easy of a weekend for 100 Thieves then.
Yeah, I don't think. Honestly, I don't know if there's a team in the LCS right now that I feel like you can just like look past and overlook. Maybe CLG, maybe Golden Guardians.
Free LG.
That's about what we expected from, I think, both those teams' lineups, though.
Okay.
With CLG and Golden Guardians, like Golden Guardians went with that pretty much full rookie or young player roster other than Stixay. And then CLG did a relatively similar thing with either like long-term players that have kind of passed their peak or like young guys.
Right.
RJS was actually I've been pretty impressed by. I thought he's done decently. So I mean, they're not good, but they're not like I don't expect every team to just roll over them like I think we've had in previous
Right.
seasons. So
And also, I think maybe an element that we have to look at and acknowledge is the fact that obviously teams are in rebuilding phases. The meta is in a totally new place with all the item changes, the patching of items consistently.
yeah,
I imagine it's feeling I imagine players are feeling the squeeze of a new season, new teams, new rookies, new items, new jungle, all sorts of stuff going on. Obviously, that's what they're paid for, to be the
Right.
best at and stay on top of the metagame. But I think just like the schedule factor, I don't think it can be understated. Where sometimes players and teams just need little bit of time to warm up and
Yep.
ease into a synergy with each other. And, um, I know we had the lock-in tournament and all that stuff, but dude, it's still fucking early doors, man.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you've got, especially this year with LCS, it's a long season. Like
Yeah.
since they've turned it from 2 splits into 1, like it's a long time. They've got a lot of games.
Yeah.
So I do also find it, I don't know how best to describe it, but I guess it's just that the league's become more advanced at this point. Like, do you remember the times when teams would be doing really well and then just 1 week of LCS, they'd get absolutely dumpstered? And then all the analysts would be like, well, they didn't have a good read on the new patch. They must not have played enough on the new patch. They didn't read the meta very well and things like that.
Right.
Like, I feel like we don't run into that many times like that anymore. I think it is a lot more of that team synergy, or maybe like
I think casters
champion
have
pool
way less freedom
in terms of like shit talking.
what they're allowed to. No, in terms of what they're allowed to talk about, right?
Gotcha.
Like, have you ever heard? Casts are just very different than what they've used to be.
That's true.
And I don't think they want. I think they want to talk about in-game stuff as opposed to like what Riot's doing and how it's like affecting the game. Like, I don't hear a whole lot like Freak talking about his, patch breakdowns and this and that like on the cast.
That's true.
So
yeah.
I think Riot or we'll say that the development team for NALCS is they have a plan for how these casts are going to go.
That's fair. And
so to your point, not to cut you off, just to your point, it's that we're not being exposed to those kind of narratives, to that kind of information, because that just may not be what they want to be highlighting anymore, regardless of if it's happening or not.
I think that information was interesting though, because
I would agree.
As someone who follows it, and even now like followed it very closely, and even now follows it pretty closely, like slightly less than I did before when I was playing a lot,
right?
But I feel like that stuff is interesting, like, oh, this team hasn't seemed to pick up on these picks or like whatnot. I think that's kind of an interesting aspect, or like, oh, this person hasn't developed. Like they would talk about double if not picking up the mage champions in the bot lane and things like that, but you don't I feel like you don't really see those kinds of conversations happening on the broadcast as much. And so I think, to your point, that sounds like it may be a directive of the broadcast to focus more on the in-game stuff going on and things like that.
And commenting on that, like on maybe not picking up meta choices, maybe that's they don't want, especially for NALCS, you can't speak for the other leagues, but maybe they don't want casters like questioning the pros like that. Like they just want to like trust the teams and they're picking this style, it didn't work out for them. Would it be cool if Freak was constantly just like, oh, this would have been a better pick here, like, oh, they should have did this, and oh, why hasn't Tactical, like, why isn't he playing Syndra in the bottom lane here? Like,
wait, you mean you don't like LS?
Well, no, he's my favorite caster is what I'm getting at.
No, I definitely get what you mean. I think I don't want them nitpicking things. I like the hypotheticals
Sure.
personally.
Sure.
Of like,
And I don't think it's like useless either.
yeah, I think because I think that those are things that are valuable to be like, hey, like maybe if they did this in pick and ban or like pick this champion, like whatever, then the game would have been able to change, and you can highlight those things without it being distracting from the cast. But I
Right.
think that they're avoiding it. Yeah, I think they're like completely just avoiding them.
Well, I'm pretty sure bronze makes up like 75% or 80% of the player base overall. But and seriously, think about it. Like maybe they want to keep the game information to like silver level max.
Well,
You
this
know,
is
where
what I was talking about the other week when we
right
mentioned
have the
this.
gold elo cast, the
Have
gold elo
have
commentators.
2 different casts, man.
Yeah. Because I would watch the fucking high level. You know, I don't want to be over here with the bronzies, fucking wood tier.
I
Wood tier pastry time. Fuck him. Pastry time in LS over here in fucking iron. Get out of here. I wanna go hear freaking Kobe analyze the ADC and jungle role.
exactly. I'm
But no, I would agree. I think they would significantly benefit by having different casts that catered to a different League of Legends player, because the bottom line is bronze League of Legends and competitive League of Legends are two totally different things, and the language used to talk about them differ even though it's the same game.
I mean, there was Bronzodia. The champions that were so OP in low elo games that absolutely
trash and
sucked in
competitive.
competitive. It was, what was it?
Master Yi.
Master Yi, Amumu, Blitzcrank.
Moo.
Like, I have to look it up.
Dude, his ult is so big. Well, yeah, while you talk about Bronzodia, I'm going to go use a restroom.
Okay.
Talk to the people.
Yeah, so Bronzodia was Cho'Gath, Malphite, Amumu, Blitzcrank, and Shen. And it was just a group of champions that for no reason just dominated low-level games. I guess the reason would be that they have a... like I talked about barrier to entry previously, about learning all the champions and abilities. They have relatively straightforward strengths, abilities, and everything. But you used to hear people talk about this as an actual thing, and it just shows the vast difference between like lower level like fun playing League of Legends and the competitive scene. So yeah, I think that overall it would be hugely beneficial for the cast to have multiple casts with different levels of broadcasting in terms of knowledge of the game. I think it would allow teams to, or allow viewers to kind of start out at that maybe like lower technical level broadcast, and to be able to grow in their knowledge through that, to be able to have a better understanding of the game, and then have that separate deal for everyone else who is seasoned and kind of can follow along with what's going on. And so, Justin, just so you know, Bronzodia was the right arm of Malphite, the head of Amumu, the left arm of Blitzcrank, the right leg of Cho'Gath, and the left leg of Shen. That was the...
Oh, so it was like tanks.
It was just like very straightforward, low mechanical skill champions, like
Dude,
Malphite.
You gotta love Unstoppable Force. You
Yeah.
gotta love it. Roll! fucking jam your head into them.
But yeah, I was saying at the time, like it was those were so prevalent because they have very low barrier to entry in terms of learning skills and abilities.
Right.
Like
right.
Malphite, you roll a rock at someone, charge at them, and headbutt them, or you smash the ground. That was all you got.
Well, I mean,
Amumu, you throw your bandages out, cry a lot, or like stun everyone. Like they're
right.
very.
Dude, the stun radius for Amumu is massive too.
It's huge.
Yeah.
We should see Amumu in today's League of Legends.
We should see the Amumu movie.
Is there an Amumu movie?
No, I'm kidding.
Amumu. Just saying Amumu movie just sounded like too many moves.
Alliteration.
So, but yeah, I think.
Well, do you remember like a Mumu Misfortune Oriana meta where like in competitive they just went for like the press R and try and kill everybody?
And then people actually learned how to have a macro game and just avoid it.
Right. And like all about the team fights.
Like, hey,
team fighting was sweet though.
They can't kill all 5 of us if we don't group as 5.
Yeah, there you go. And the Jax pick was born. Thwack, 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 thwack,
Split push Jax.
Yeah.
Honestly, disappointed that old school Fiora didn't get it as many or as much play. That ult was
She had
wild.
a cool ult.
It was very cool.
But I mean, now it's like technical and like Hooney played it at Worlds and people it was like a competitive top lane pick.
Well, and you know I love my Hooney, so Hooney's the best top laner in LCS.
He's okay. I think Someday's better. Hooney's a ex-world champion though, right?
Yeah, he's an ex-world
So
champion.
is Someday though, right?
Is Someday?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Core JJ though.
Ah, shout out Core JJ. Who'd he win with? T1?
Samsung.
That's
Samsung
right.
Galaxy?
Dude, do you remember the year of fucking Samsung Blue and Samsung White?
Yeah, that was
dude
a nightmare.
Dude.
Straight up nightmare.
They were so good.
That was when the Staples Center in Los Angeles got sold out in like 9 minutes for all the tickets for Worlds. And people were like
sucking dick for faker tickets.
No. I was going to say people like I think initially were like they're having a video game thing in the Staples Center and then it sold out so fast and they were like, "Oh shit." But yes, I don't believe that Someday has won a world championship, unfortunately.
Gotcha.
Core JJ, however, went from being the Kiwi kid apprentice and support to the god I'm a cutie pie to becoming a world champion.
Hell yeah.
Core JJ has the biggest like story arc in League of Legends, I think.
Well, he's definitely played all around the world for it.
And he's gone from really low points to really high points.
Right. Yeah, he's pretty insane. Well, and his elo is really high on the super server right now too. Like he's among one of the best mechanical players in the world.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So.
And he's playing support. Note it.
Like I said, I never thought support didn't do a lot. I just didn't do a lot of support.
And then Mata came along.
It was all about me not being good at it, and also I wanted to kill people.
Right. And you don't kill people as support.
Typically, unless you're like the asshole support.
See, but I understood that a Baron call wins a game more than a 1v1 outplay.
Your Baron calls were huge.
They won games, bro.
A lot of games.
Mm-hmm. That game IQ, people.
Seriously.
But yeah, so LCS has been pretty exciting. TSM rules again.
Hell
Back
yeah.
on the back in the camp.
Yep. And I guess now it's music time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we can. I think now's a good time for that if you're ready.
I am ready, and also I have to say I did check out Jackson Brown and Joe Pug.
Yeah.
I vibe with Joe Pug a lot. I
Nice.
love the folk music. It's just the same style, or very similar style to what I typically go to for like folk bluegrass. So I like
Heck
it.
yeah. Heck yeah. I like it.
Jackson Brown, he's gonna be someone who I have to be in a certain mood to listen to. That's like
Right.
when I'm in a Billy Joel and the band kind of mood, because
Ah. Okay.
I love the band too. The
Okay.
band is and
Well, I appreciate you looking into him because yeah, Joe Pug is he's a good one.
hey man, that's
Nice.
like you said, we making recommendations and shit like that. We can start looking into things, learning new things.
I like that. So here before we go too far, what were a couple of your honorable mentions for favorite artists from last week?
Ooh, yeah. So I had three additional. So one is Childish Gambino. I've been listening to him for a
Okay.
long time. I think he's very artistic, so his plays on words and his flow are always
Yeah.
like interesting. I feel like going back and listening to things that I haven't from him in a while, I typically notice new things that I didn't either understand at the time or just realize in the lyrics,
Right.
which is always fun. Then Vince Staples. I love me some Vince Staples. He's someone I like to just jam to. I think he's put out a lot of nice, solid hits. And then Green Sky Bluegrass is another one up there. So that's like
Okay.
in
Now,
that
is that a
folky.
band name?
It is, yeah. So
Interesting. They put the genre in their name.
yeah, but
That's weird.
I think it's like it's a play on like the sky's blue, but they're calling it green sky and then bluegrass.
Green Sky Bluegrass.
So they did a little play on words, but they do have the style of music in it. So that folky and like they've got some good stuff. And when I throw like Spotify will let you do like an artist radio that also pulls in other similar artists, and when I throw
Right.
that on, I get some really good hits. So
Okay.
I enjoy what they bring to the table. So,
Okay.
but how are
Green Sky Bluegrass.
yep.
I like it.
There's a couple other folk ones that I think you'd like that are pretty cool, but they were not in
Nice.
my honorable mentions. So
Not high enough, huh?
yeah, I wanted to keep it relatively limited. So,
Sure. Sure.
but how about you for your honorables?
So surprisingly, like these people aren't in the top. Like, yeah, these were really hard. But so the two main ones were Eminem and Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls.
Okay.
Like they were very close to like being able to be in the list. But I think I'm not as angry as I used to be, so I had to take Eminem out of there. While I do believe, like mechanically, I think he is.
Insane.
I'm not even. No, I'll say this. I'm not even sure it's debatable. I think mechanically, as a rapper, he is the best to have ever done it.
I would say he's very close, if not the best. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Just
with that.
mechanically.
Yeah,
Just
no,
mechanically. That's all.
definitely.
And I really respect him as an artist and just as a bar for bar rapper. But I think there are other like full catalogs and artists that I still actively listen to on the list now. that I couldn't justify putting Eminem on there. He would be like a legacy pick. I was really trying to be like, what's like a current, like what
Yeah.
what's mulling around in my mind currently, not just like, oh,
That's
like historically what would have been my favorites.
Oh yeah,
you know?
that's what I did too. And I
Cool.
think it's very similar the way I look at him. I don't think I'm as angry at. So like my old college running music playlist was a grouping of old Eminem.
Right. Till I collapse, I'm spilling these raps long as you feel them. Dude, that is on everybody's workout playlist.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I had
every single person's.
old Eminem, Hobson, and
Hell yeah.
and Tech Nine.
Dude, they are all angry motherfuckers and have had some shitty ex-girlfriends.
And when I think I said that at one point when you, me, and Ian were playing League, and Ian was like, "Yo, bro, you good?" I was like,
"Yo, that's so funny."
I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's just like aggressive, and I feel good running to it." Like
right.
it's
right.
But
well,
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I just don't. I'm not in that mindset anymore.
Yeah.
But so he's an honorable mention just because he's pretty fucking amazing.
Fair.
Mechanically speaking. And then Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls, I think his music, and we'll talk about him later, but I think his music is fucking, like, hard. Like, so hard.
Yeah.
To the degree that, like, I don't know, he's such a cool character. Yeah, you can't say enough good things about him. But yeah, so those are my two honorable mentions for favorites.
Very solid. Well, I guess we can hop into our albums then. And so to, I guess, clarify kind of like you did with these are like albums that I actively go back to. They're like probably towards my top of like what I will listen to depending on mood and what I'm feeling, and just going and having some nostalgia and whatnot. So,
and these are ones I thought about it front to back. Not like no skippables, things that like I thought about them as like complete projects. What are my top 10 favorite projects?
Yep.
That when I put them on, I finish them.
Yep, definitely.
Right. And to have like a special, you know, these are 10 picks of like, yeah. Like if I was on a desert island, these are the 10 that I would want with me.
Yeah, Desert Island, definitely, because I think I have something for like every mood that I would be in.
I imagine there wouldn't be many moods on an island, just hungry.
Hungry and dead.
Yeah. Depending where, cold or sunburned. Hungry, cold, or sunburned. Those are the only moods.
Yeah, that's about
I don't know. That's pretty small-minded. I'm sure you can have a great time on an island.
No.
Unless the rum's gone.
Just have to have more rum.
Yeah. Kind of know to wrangle some turtles.
So what was your number 10 then on this list?
All right. My number 10 is Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan. I'm pretty sure it's 9 tracks. It's got Desolation Row on it. It's got fucking Tombstone Blues on it. I think I truly believe it's Bob Dylan's best work. I think it's some of his best lyrical, like, what would you say? Not like wordplay, because he's not like he's not like jingle jangling or whatever. But I do believe it's some of his best writing. I think it's some of his best, like, just musical work as well. Okay. Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan is my number 10. It front to back, it's fucking amazing. I think Desolation Row is one of it. It's so good, and he's so good at spinning a yarn. He tells a great story. Number 10 is Highway 61.
Nice. Well, and for my number 10, I had Stormzy, Gang Signs and Prayer. I know I talked
Hell
about it
yeah.
last week, but
Yeah.
as a whole, the album, I thought like it flows really well. It shows a really kind of deep side of him, and like I said, I feel like I can relate to some of the uh, contemplation that he's going through with that album. Really good flows. Really solid album overall.
What are some key tracks?
Um, oh, you're gonna put me on the spot. So I'm terrible with actual song names. So I'm gonna have to look this up, which is
Damn, dude.
But you're so I will put this out there. I am absolutely horrible at any song names. So you're not going to get a lot of good answers if you do that. But Big for Your Boots is a bop.
That's a jam.
It's
That's a
bop.
slapper. Yeah.
Blinded by Your Grace is also pretty cool, which comes right
Okay.
before that, where it's very
That hits like the whole gospel,
yeah, it's very
Jesus
like
loving side of you.
hymnally and like yeah. So I also 21 Gun Salute. Also,
Dude, 21 Gun Salute is pretty good.
yeah,
I like that one.
But as a whole, really complete album. I really enjoy it a lot. So, but yeah, no, there was only one of the albums that I actually like went through and picked names of songs because I'm
just such a nerd. I remember them. Like, don't feel bad.
Oh,
You're
I have
fine.
a garbage memory. So, topic. One thing that I'll go into with something I talked about in therapy.
Okay. I like it. Dig deep.
My therapist thinks I may have ADHD because I have a number of symptoms, including having a garbage memory. I lose focus super easily.
Right. Well, you had talked about that just for yourself. Like, you knew that was happening at work.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
so when I mentioned those things in therapy, my therapist was like, "Yeah, so like at some point do you want to maybe do?" And I have a friend who I've talked through like a lot of my mental health stuff with, and she was like, "You might have ADHD."
Right.
And talking to my therapist, I didn't mention that. I just mentioned these different things that I was like working on. And she's like, "Yeah, at some point, do you want to do like an ADHD like test to see?"
Sure,
I was
sure.
like,
Then to see if like medication is the right option.
but the fact that she like picked up on it from the few things that I said, I was like,
right.
This might be a thing. I think that
Seems pretty strong.
just as a side note, I've never been able to like memorize things, and so remembering song names and stuff, I don't know if it makes you a nerd or if it just makes me having a shitty memory.
Sure. Sure,
thing.
you're just a broken human. That's all it means.
I am. It is what it is.
It's pretty rough, man. Sorry to hear it.
It's a tough life. I just have a bunch of good friends and get to do a cool ass podcast. It's devastating, honestly.
Dude, that's a rough life. Rough life.
But yeah, so Gang Signs and Prayer, my number 10. Moving on to number 9.
Do you want to do like a ladder
like a
up?
snake draft?
Yes, yeah, because it would be you're 10 and then now you're 9 and then I'll do 9 and my 8 and then you're 8.
I got
Yeah, you get it. Okay.
Yeah. So my number 9 is a band that I didn't have on my honorable mentions or my top artists. It's
hell yeah.
But this album is really awesome. It's called the band is Balance and Composure. And the album's called The Things We Think We're Missing. And it's like, it's hard to describe. It's indie, kind of punkish, a little depressing sounding, but it's kind of a slower mood. The lyrics are really smooth. The music is very fluid throughout from song to song. It has a really cool sound. It's kind of hard to describe, but I really enjoy listening to it when I'm in super like mellow, like just like chilled kind of moods.
Right.
And it's something I find myself listening to relatively often. Um, and yeah, I enjoy it a lot. So balance and composure, the things we think we're missing.
Hell yeah. And they're from Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty sweet. I like that. Hometown
Also,
heroes.
the album art is pretty cool.
Yeah,
It
I'm looking
kind
at
of
it right
looks
now.
like
I
a
like
lava
that.
lampish.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I think it is a lava lamp.
Yeah,
Nice.
enjoy that a lot. So
That's sweet. Okay, cool. Balance and composure. The things we think we're missing.
yep.
I like it. All right, cool.
And so you're number 8 or number
So
9.
my
Sorry.
number 9, I don't know if this is on your list or not, but my number 9 is Watching Movies with the Sound Off by Mac Miller.
It did not make mine, but I do love the album. I just love all of Mac's catalog, and I couldn't just throw.
Sure. It's hard to pick one. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is hard to pick one.
So
But yeah, Watching Movies, great album front to back. I think it has a lot of great features. The production, I think, is exciting, crisp. It lends itself well to his style. And I think I think that album was where Mac was right at home. He sat in the pocket of a lot of those tracks, and it's total fun front to back.
well,
So number 9, Watching
and
Movies.
a cool thing with that album too. So that was also during a time that he had kind of isolated. I know way too much about Mac Miller, but
Right.
it was during a time where he'd kind of isolated himself from a lot, and he just spent a ton of time in the studio. Like I think he had a studio in his house at the time, and just like didn't leave his house for like a long time. It was just
Right.
putting stuff together, going through his feelings and stuff. And he had like movies on in the background, but with the sound off while he was recording. And so that's where like that, like he had
Okay.
like background stuff while he
Something
was
to like look up and look at, but none of the audio because he was
Right.
in his own world.
Exactly. And so that's where the name came from, as I understand it. But really cool album, and yeah, it like goes through. I think that's also a pretty cool turning point in his music, where he starts to really branch out and start experimenting with some different like styles and like aspects of what he would like to do, which is pretty cool.
And I was going to say, this is to your this was the first album where Miller self-produced a large chunk of it under his alias Larry Fisherman. He was very self-conscious of his production on the album. It was also handled by Pharrell, Chuck English, Alchemist, Clams Casino, Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler the Creator, Flying Lotus, Diplo, and some others. So yeah, this was his first venture out into like him using his own production on an album.
Yeah.
And I think it really stands out in his catalog. It's one of my favorites of his catalog. And also, like within that, it's one of the better albums out there. I think one of my favorite tracks is "I Am Who Am," "Killing Time," and then later in the track is "Remember." He has a great line where he says, "I wish you had a kid, so I could tell him about you." And it's like a very sad thing I've often thought about.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mac Miller, Watching Movies with the Sound Off. My number 9. My number 8. Can you guess it, sir? It has nothing to do with the number 8. I don't know why you'd be able to guess it.
Damn.
No, not Damn. It is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West.
Nice.
Dude, you start with the intro from fucking Nicki Minaj. Fucking kills it.
Yep.
And then you go into You go into the Nas features with fucking Jay-Z. He's got fucking everybody and his mom on there. And then you've got the Rick Ross feature on what is it? The fucking dress, the red dress, devil in the red dress.
Mm.
That song is fucking hard. That's probably one of like best verses ever is Rick Ross's on the second side of that track. Runaway's amazing, Hell of a Life, Blame Game. Shout out fucking Christopher Rock for the interlude that he does at
Mm.
the end of it,
Yeah.
where it's like the phone call where it's like Yeezy taught me. He's like, who taught you to put them Jimmy shoes on? And she's like, Yeezy taught me. And it's just like 6 minutes of Yeezy taught me. Dude, it is one of the best interludes ever. Kanye West hitting so many high notes on this thing. Gorgeous with Kid Cudi and Raekwon. Power's insane. Monster. Dude, just not a bad track on this thing. If you haven't heard it, Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. That's my number 8.
Very nice. I like it. My number 8 goes a very different direction. My number 8
Okay.
is from Billy Joel, and it's the album Stormfront. So
Okay.
a lot of his albums have like a couple big hits that like I think a lot of people like know or really enjoy. And this album like really there were a number of songs on it that because it was released back in the late 80s, not too long after like the Cold War and everything, and it hits on a bunch of different things. That album has We Didn't Start the Fire, so going through the decades of all the different like things that have gone on historically for the past few decades. Downeaster Alexa, which I really enjoy, a little bit of a slower but still kind of upbeat tune.
Yep.
I Go to Extremes, which is like that faster paced like style.
It feels kind of hoppy.
Yeah, and then the song Leningrad, which goes into kind of some of the sadder things about during the Cold War, or I guess that's not Cold War Russia, but I guess that would be like World War II Russia, going back with some historical stuff. But I just really enjoy the album. A lot of solid songs on it. When I'm listening to Billy Joel, I feel like that's a solid one that I can go through and hit a lot of my favorite songs of his. So
Nice. Okay, cool. So that was Billy Joel. What was the name of the album?
Stormfront.
Stormfront.
Yep.
Ooh, I like that.
And my number 7, moving on up, is from Bring Me the Horizon, who is one of my top artists. It's
sir.
the album Sempiternal, and it's got a really cool production. It has a good mix of that like heavy punk rock, heavy metal type feel, but along with some kind of experimental and different electronic almost kind of sounding pieces to it. Not like EDM, but the effects and things like that they use when producing the album add some cool sounds to it. And overall, really solid album. When I'm want to listen to something heavy in terms of like sound and everything, that's an easy go-to for me. So
Now, were those harder rock, or that's not even that's like more metal? Were those on your Are those on your workout tapes as well?
yeah, depending what mood I'm in, like definitely on it if I'm listening to. So I have like about 3 separate styles of music I listen to for working out. So also all depending on my mood. So I have my like college running playlist of the angry rap. I've
Right.
got my like current rap stuff that's like just upbeat like hits
Right.
that kind of get me just like
All your Drake
energized.
songs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right. I got you.
And then I have my like heavy metal, like I need to kill something, but I'm gonna let that energy out by picking things up and putting them down.
Nice. Okay. I like that.
So those are it's definitely on my I need to pick things up and put things down, but in an angry way.
Okay.
Music.
All right. I like that.
So that's my number 7, Sempiternal from Bring Me the Horizon.
Okay. Well, 7 on up. We can probably just wrap the episode here. 7 on up is all of Drake's albums.
Very
In
nice.
no particular order, they all share 1 through 7.
Because you could just play them all album after album and you would never know it wasn't just one 100-song album.
You actually would never know you were hearing a different song. It would all just sound like the same thing.
Exactly.
But no, for real. My number 7 is for one of my honorable mentions. I think it's one of the most interesting albums that I've heard. Relapse by Eminem. So it was the album that he put out in probably the weirdest point of anybody's career. Like he said some things on that album that are just like totally wild. Put some ideas out there. But some bangers too. Like oddly enough, like Same Old Song and Dance about kidnapping and like murdering a woman, but like what's so crazy, and this is what's so crazy about him, is like he makes it sound so good. Like the beat is so heavy and scary.
Yep.
The rhyme schemes are impeccable. So just how like dark and gory and violent that album is, always, and I'm no fucking weirdo, but like it always held like a very special place in my heart. I think artistically it's up there. It's like good horror. It's like really good horror.
I think
and I love it.
I've like found a small theme in your favorite things, and I think it also helps with making a complete album. But you really enjoy albums with interludes and like those like side pieces and things that tie it, but it also, like, to that point, it ties it together. It helps with the story of the album.
Like Dr. West right in the beginning, where it like it throws you down this like rabbit hole of a nightmare. Like that feels so good to lead into a project. Like it helps suspend the disbelief that you're not sitting on your couch like
it sets it up for you.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, that's funny you say that.
No, well, you were talking about the interludes in My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Dude,
and
like that shit lives in my brain. Like I hear that stuff all the time. Like Yeezy taught me. It's so funny to me. Or like the Yeezy, what up? Like the Silver Surfer interlude on Pablo.
Oh,
like
I love it.
Mortal Man, like that's technically like an interlude. Like all of these things are like the do you remember the last call on College Dropout where Kanye does this like 12-minute long thing about how he met Jay-Z and like, oh, who's that rapping on the song? And he's like, haha, that's me.
Vaguely.
Like that whole,
I don't, not
it's,
fully.
It's so integral to hip hop. And then you have like the Wu-Tang Clan that's like with the katanas, shing, 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 shing.
Yeah.
Dude, the jizza on what's it called? Swords, liquid swords.
Oh, yeah.
He has all the fucking
it's like my father was a samurai, and it's like I know exactly what you're talking about. You love and even like To Pimp a Butterfly, like he's got the one on I where he's like going through and he's like talking about the history of like black people in America and how the language has come from Africa and changed as it came to America and everything. I agree. I think that really helps to create a very complete piece.
Right.
It's not just music. It's an album.
Right. Right. I
It's
don't just
a
want songs
it's a
put in.
work.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. And so I like that a lot.
So yeah, that's number 7, Relapse. Lot of key tracks on there. And then moving up the list, number 6 is by our guy Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City. And this was another
Nice.
one that was like from the artist hard to pick, like what's your favorite? But I think Good Kid, Mad City really stands out. Um in a way that maybe some of the other albums don't. I think it's a quintessential example of storytelling in hip hop
Mm-hmm.
where that tends to be one of the main elements in it, like just in rap music in general and hip hop. And I think he really captures that vibe where he's able to lay out very specifically like what they were drinking in the car. You know, they had a warm orange soda and it was exactly what friends were in the car and this and that. I think he does a really good job of painting the picture of what it might have been like to grow up
Yo,
on his street.
did he hit the one with the shenanigans? Give him the
Yeah.
shenanigans.
Dude, what's crazy? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine smoking a blunt with cocaine in it and like no one told you until after the fact? Bro. Bro, crazy. So yeah, again, that's another album that has great use of non-musical sections. But yeah,
Definitely.
so
No,
number 6,
I
Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick Lamar.
definitely one of my top ones as well. So my number 6 is from a band I mentioned on our top artists, the Wonder Years. And so that's the album Suburbia. And I also mentioned one of my favorite songs on it, Came Out Swinging. So the album starts out with this song, and it's like, I came out swinging from a South Philly basement. Um, I think it's like smells like stale beer and sweat
Hell yeah.
under half lit fluorescence. Like it just
Ooh.
like basement punk rock band. Like they're just doing their shows to a bunch of people in the middle of a basement, like trying to make their name. And throughout the album, it goes through just a lot of kind of growing of the artists and the band through their lyrics of like being kind of these outcasts, how they kind of grew up religious but are breaking away from that. There's a song called I Won't Say the Lord's Prayer. And just like how they're just trying to like keep their lives together while they're going through a lot of changes and kind of different growing pains as like
Right.
a band and as people. It's a really cool album, great punk, or considered pop punk. So if you like
Okay.
that vibe, definitely can recommend that album. So
Nice.
Suburbia by the Wonder Years.
Suburbia.
Then we've got for my number 5, I've got Big Fish Theory by Vince Staples.
Ooh.
Really cool sound to it. Lots of I feel like I overuse this word, but experimental sounds. But I like it
Yeah.
when things sound different, like they're trying new things that are not typical of generic pop, rap, pop music, things like that. And some of
Right.
the things like even the first song Crabs in a Bucket, it's got these like repetitive crabs in a bucket and like these kind of cool sounds to it that are different.
Well, it's very electronic.
It is, and
Yeah.
I like the album a lot. I A number of those songs on it are ones that have made it into my like normal like kind of favorite rap playlists.
Oh, hell yeah.
745 Party
Dude,
People.
I think that's the best track on the album, 745.
745 slaps.
Yeah,
It's
it's really good.
so good. It's probably my favorite on it, but like I really enjoy that album, so that is my number 5.
Nice. Okay, cool. What was I gonna say about Vince Staples? The one thing that I find interesting when that album came out, he did, I forget who he was talking to. I think it might have been Joe Budden. He was talking to somebody, and he was like, "What I find really unfortunate about like music awards and people handing out credits here and there." He's like, you know, everybody out here thinking I made a hip hop album. He's like, "Why can't I win?" You know, best electronic album of the year. It's not going to happen. But he's like, what did I do? I made the
Sure.
best electronic album of the year. Like, that's what he said. And I was like, that's facts, bro. I hear you.
Yeah.
Facts.
No, it's a
Like, just because
great album.
yeah. But it's also to the point of like, people won't accept when their favorite artists like do something new or out of the box where they're just immediately like hated for it. Oh, you didn't do the thing that we call this thing, so immediately it's not this thing, and that makes that thing that you just did bad.
And that's
It's
why
like, I don't
everyone
think so.
has Drake as their top artist. Because he's the best at doing the same thing again and again and again and again and again and again and again.
But it sells, bro. That's the thing. It sells. What's crazy, dude? I don't know. That's just like Big Mac hip hop, bro. It's fast food music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Anyway.
great way to describe it.
Oh, dude, hell yeah, that's all it is.
I like that the description. So
So you just did number 5,
I
right?
did, yeah.
Okay. So you just did 6 and 5.
I did
So I do
6 and
5 and 4.
Yep.
So we're all caught up. Okay, cool. So my number 5 is by rest in peace, Mr. Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls, his first album, his freshman project, Life After Death. It is. I'm pretty sure it's 18 tracks. I think it
Damn.
is. It is pure hip hop front to back. It is some of the cleanest bars ever. Some of the best songs. Like Juicy is on there. The What with Method Man. Fucking Things Done Change. Give me the loot. Give me the loot. Give me the loot. Like literally so many of like not just like his best songs, but hip hop's best songs he wrote and are on the same album all together. And then it ends with the just like viscerally brutal yet beautiful suicidal thoughts where he talks about like how his mom should have had an abortion, his baby mama like knew he was walking out on her, but this and that, and how up in heaven like how up in heaven Jesus is like such an asshole because he's not going to let him hold a gun and play dice, and just the perspective of life from this guy is so it's one of a kind, and he lays it all out in the songs, and it's just I think it is an album that will often be able to be cut out of the frame of context of the year it was released and hold up in any genre of and any era of hip hop music. I think it would stand up.
It's just able to transcend that time.
Yeah,
It's not a
it's so good.
awesome.
That's my number 5, Life After Death by B.I.G.
I'm gonna hold you up real quick. Can you talk about it a little more while I go to the bathroom?
Okay, yeah, before I move on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, sure. No, go ahead. All right. So I think, all right, and I mentioned this before. So some of the key tracks. Let me just pull up the thing. This podcast just turns into fucking 2 dudes on the internet. I'm sorry, guys. Life After Death. Bang. Let's check the track list here. Oh, this is. Oh, Oh no, it's Ready to Die. Oh, I lied. Not Life After Death. It's Ready to Die. I'm stupid. It's his first one. Is Ready to Die. Yeah, with the baby on the. Yep. All right. Sorry, people. It's Ready to Die. I'll have to make that correction to Aaron. Bum, 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 bum. All right, key tracks. So you got Machine Gun Funk, you got Ready to Die, you got Biggie Biggie, Give Me One More Chance. And the best thing is like he wrote all these. Everyday Struggle, I Know What I Feel Like to Wake Up Fucked Up, Pockets Broke as Hell, Another Rock to Sell. I don't know what that's like, but it's a good song. Yeah, man, the more I'm looking over this, the more I'm just like, geez almighty, fucking friend of mine, unbelievable, respect. Like just the bottom half of the album's great. Oh, I was telling them, it's not Life After Death is his second project that literally came out after he died. Ready to Die is the one that I'm talking about.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, first one, Ready to Die. But yeah, so we wrap that up. Number 4 I have is Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars
Ooh.
by David Bowie.
All right.
Pretty sure, I'm not sure what album it is for him, like what number, but I believe it's early in his career. And the stories on the album are really good. It's like this interesting, like cosmic story of like a rock band and the characters involved and what happens, and it's a great little like I would call it a concept album. Um, but more so, I think it's on this list because it makes me think of my dad. David Bowie is like one of his favorite artists, so like he's who got me into him. And Ziggy Stardust is an album that I go back to all the time. Moon Age Daydream, Lady Stardust, Rock and Roll Suicide's amazing. So yeah, if you haven't heard that David Bowie, check it out. Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars. It's my number 4.
Very cool.
Yes,
That's
sir.
actually an album I have not heard. I don't think so. I'll
So
have to
good.
check it out. That's.
There you go.
I'm putting together a list, and I'm sorry. What was the Biggie album?
So it's Ready to Die.
Ready to Die. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure I'm putting together my list of some of the ones from you that I haven't heard that I want to check out. So.
Oh yeah.
So for me, my number 4 is "Damn" from Kendrick Lamar. There are a lot of songs on that album that I listen to really frequently. DNA and Humble are two like really hard, upbeat, fast paced like ones that are in a lot of my like playlists and rotation.
Nice.
But the thing that one of the really cool concepts from the album is the fact that you can do the forward play of all the songs or the backwards play of all the songs, and it tells like a slightly different story of kind of what he is putting together, growing through, learning about himself, learning about like who he is. And I feel like there's such a range of songs on the album in terms of sounds and styles, but it all is so cohesive. Overall, really, really enjoy that album. So that is my number 4.
Nice. That's a good project. Damn.
Yeah, really, really like that one. Then for my number 3, I have "Good AM" from Mac Miller.
Ooh,
Good morning,
okay.
good AM. I'm not sure I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say what it's supposed to be. I just say "Good AM."
Yeah, I think that's what I would say in my head too. Good
But
AM.
the album in general has a lot of really solid songs. It gives you a cool look into Mac and some of them, especially in and I think I have a weird affinity to it because of his passing, because there are
Right.
so many lyrics in in certain songs on that just like when I listen to, so the main song that I really think about those things with after his passing is 100 Grandkids. And
Right.
it, like, there's a bunch of lyrics that hit me really hard after his passing. And it said, like, one, I made a promise to my mama that I'd bless her with some grandkids so she could spoil them.
Mm.
There's it talks about, I swear to God, I put the heroin, or the hero in heroin. These flows are kilos. Like, he's talking about a lot of the struggles he's gone through, how he has like wants to be able to live and grow and get married and have kids. And like it says, like, what is God without a little od, just a
Right.
G. And
Right.
like really like cool play on words, but also like,
Sad at the same time.
yeah, like really giving some insight into how he was feeling during that time. Some other good songs: Jump, Perfect Circle, Godspeed, When in Rome.
When in
Like,
Rome is hard. I like
it
that beat.
really, really good
Rome type
beats
beat.
throughout the album. Fun album, but also fun album in terms of sound, but lyrically, like, really a lot deeper if you listen to like what he's saying.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I enjoy that a
I
lot.
think he teamed up with a lot of interesting artists for himself.
Mm,
Some features that you wouldn't have seen traditionally, and was working with some artists that helped him kind of push the boundaries a little bit and see what he was doing.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
great.
he had Lil
Project.
B on it, which
Yeah,
for I mean, Lil B is the rap god, so
the rap god.
no shade on Lil B, but not someone who many artists would have as a feature,
Right,
I would say.
right. It's good stuff, though. It's good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Nice. Okay.
So that is my number three.
Your number three. All right. My number three is Bruce Springsteen, Darkness on the Edge of Town. Very, very different than, some of the other things we have going on here, but it is very, I would say it's an atmospheric album. And again, it's like quite concise. He's trying to tell this kind of little story. And growing up in small town America, I really, really get the vibe that he, puts forth in this album.
Hmm.
And it's been a project that I've put on throughout my whole life, decade after decade. And yeah, it's just a good one. Bruce Springsteen, Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Nice. I like
All
that.
right, so we've cracked the top two for each of us. Now, um, do you want to do your top two first, and then I'll do mine?
Yeah, that works.
Go for it.
So my number two is The Life of Pablo by Kanye
Hell yeah,
West.
hell
Um,
yeah! I'm
love
glad
the
it was.
album. It's just overall. I can't say enough about how much I enjoy it. All the depth and insight that you can kind of get into Kanye through this. I think that he gives and puts a lot of himself into um, how he is, and kind of his transformation from being this like rapper who has all these dark, and like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, who has all these kind of like dark, difficult things going on, to how he's kind of becoming a different person in himself and as an artist. Really great sound. I mean, he starts branching into that gospel sound a little bit with this album, which is, I think, a very cool. I I guess that's something that I noticed about myself, is I like that mixture of that gospel and the rap because it is so contrasting. But if you can tie it together well, like Kanye does, or like Stormzy, I think it makes a really unique album. So like Father Stretch My Hands, even the song, which is kind of a jokey song, I Love Kanye. He's
Dude,
like,
yeah,
it's cool. He's like very,
creative as hell, honestly,
it,
and it's funny. It like capitalizes on a joke. Like there's a lot of layers to it.
funny, creative, and it really, he is very self-aware in it,
Right.
which I think is really cool. So that is,
I think that's the title. I miss the old Kanye.
that's, that's a
That's
great album.
that's the title.
Yeah. I like that.
All right.
Um,
Yeah, Life of Pablo, great project. I went back and forth in my head for a while. Which did I like better, Pablo or Twisted Fantasy? And obviously Twisted Fantasy came out for me, but yeah, Pablo is fucking amazing. I love the ultralight beams. The chance feature right at the
yes.
beginning is amazing. Like oh man,
Like,
amazing verse by him.
don't think that there's an album on that or a track on that album that I don't enjoy.
It's so
Like
good.
it's
Wolves is amazing
yeah,
with the future feature. Like
yep.
that's so good. Where
Like
he's like, "Don't call me with that bill shit. Everybody got them that ain't children." Like,
yep.
oh, bro,
Yep.
yes, I love it so much.
It's funny. I like Future when he's on other people's
Same,
stuff.
same. I think he's a great feature artist. I don't really like him as like
I'm not
the
gonna
main
listen to
event.
a Future album really,
Yeah,
but when
as a feature,
he's
he's amazing.
really kills it,
Yeah.
and matches the tone of the artist he's with.
Oh,
So
and Kanye really knows how to use the artist that he's working with. Like he
yeah.
knows what their role should be in the project.
Yeah, when I was going through the Kanye albums, I had some difficulty with it too. Because like between looking at The Life of Pablo, even Ye was like it was a different album for him, but I still really enjoyed it. And
Yeah,
it got into, I think, even though he is very he talks about his like mental health and mental state throughout all of his music.
yeah.
Um,
Opening
that
up with "I thought about killing you today." That's a different kind of vibe.
yeah,
Yeah,
very different. So I was going through a lot of it, and that's kind of where I settled.
nice. Nah, Pablo's amazing. I love your number two.
Yeah, and for my number one, it was on your list, but it's Good Kid, Mad City.
Oh yeah,
Um,
damn. Two Kendrick projects.
I know. I was
Hell
having
yeah.
trouble, and I just was like,
And
you
right
know
there.
what? I gotta go with it. But
I respect it.
um, I think it's the project from Kendrick. It's definitely the project from Kendrick that I listen to in full the most frequently. I feel like I can't start it and not listen to the entire thing.
Right. Like, which songs do you skip? None of them.
You can't, and like just looking through the album list, like there are songs that make it into other of my playlists and things individually, like Swimming Pools Drank, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe.
That's a good one.
Like there
King, ah, drinking, king, ah, drinking, king. What a weird fucking intro to a
it
song.
is, and
Yeah.
it's one that I've memorized almost every word to from
Oh,
the
hell
amount
yeah.
of times
Trashy
I've like,
freestyle.
yeah, like
Hell
I
yeah.
just
Like
going
trying to
through.
spit along to it, like in the car. Like, ah, you fuck up. You're like, ah, shit.
I and at this point, I get through most of it because I
Hell
just
yeah.
like I find myself listening to it so frequently.
It's so good.
But yeah,
Lord God, I come to you a sinner, and I
yeah.
humbly repent for my
But
sins.
also a really with that like a really unique album in terms of the kinds of interludes and transitions. It's like it takes advantage of the kind of lifestyle that he was in and that he's thinking about when he's putting together this album, and utilizes some really unique kind of sounds, lyrics, segments of conversations and things like that to put it together and tie everything with a nice red bow on top.
Right.
Like it's just a great album. A lot of like really really good songs, but yeah, that is it just I find myself listening to it so often, and I don't feel like I could ever be in a mood that I'm like, nah, turn that off. Like,
Right. Well, and it hits so many different moods too. Like
yeah,
he's at so many different wavelengths on it, but it all ties together really well, which is awesome.
absolutely. So that
Yeah.
is that's my number one.
Nice. Good Kid, Mad City. All right, so we got two left here, and then we'll fucking get out of here. So, and this is right to your point. So my number two is Deltron 3030. By Dan the Automator is the producer on it, and Del the Funky Homo Sapien did a bunch of the lyrics.
Okay.
It is, I think, conceptually one of the coolest albums I've ever heard. It's about a rapper who exists in out in space, and he goes to these like rap like intergalactic rap battles where he's like
Okay.
fighting people from different other planets, and he just so many things. And you have I think what really brings the album together is the interludes,
Okay.
where it has like the one is like an advert for Brymar College, like in the future. Brymar College, I guess, is somewhere that you could go and they would upgrade your gray matter for when, you know, the human squishy has become obsolete, right? And so
Okay.
there's like this little advert, and then the tag is um upgrade your gray matter because one day it may matter. Upgrade your gray matter because one day it may matter. Upgrade your gray matter because one day it may matter. And like that thing then like leads into a song, and then Dell and Dan the Automator, like that's part of the hook of the next song. And just the storytelling is on a whole nother level. It's like Logic's incredible story, but just like
Yeah.
the original, the better one, the one that Logic's copying. It's
Gotcha.
it's it's fucking amazing.
Okay.
Um,
Very cool.
that's Deltron 3030. Honestly, it's like conceptually the coolest thing you've ever heard. There's the best interlude on the whole thing is the one in the alleyway, and you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about when you hear it.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's fucking perfect. It puts you like it is a minute and a half of the best world building you've ever heard in your whole life. It puts you right there. It puts you right there. It's amazing.
That's
Whoever
awesome.
wrote it's like I'm telling you, it's like 50 seconds of dialogue. It's perfect. It's so good. And but then on top of that, not just like conceptually, Dell, the rapper, like the guy who does the vocals on the project, he's insane. Like he's mechanically a very good rapper. So Deltron 3030, number two.
Very cool.
Number one,
Another one
go
I'll
ahead.
have to add to my list of things to check out. I was
So good.
pulling up my Spotify while you're talking about it so I can add these onto a list and check them all. So
Hell yeah. That's what you got to do, man. I love it.
about
And
it.
then number one, I'm sure you were wondering when you were gonna hear it, is Reasonable Doubt by Jay-Z,
Yep.
1996. It's his first one. I think it's fucking amazing. It's got that New York sound. It's got that young guy trying to make it. Like he doesn't have any money yet other than like hustling money, right? It is some of the best bars you've ever heard, some of the best verses you've ever heard, some of the best beats you've ever heard. Just like Ready to Die, I think it holds up. I really do. Even today, like the songs are still good. Um, Jay-Z, one of the best out, one of the best projects. I could talk about it forever, but yeah, that's what it is.
Awesome. I had a feeling it would be. I mean, you couldn't have him as your numero uno and then not
Not
have a
have one of his
single
albums.
album.
Yeah.
So, but I had a feeling it would be Reasonable Doubt too, because I
Hell
know
yeah,
that
it's
how
so
much you
good.
like it. It is a great album. I've listened through a couple times because I feel like as I was getting into rap more and more, I had to listen to some more.
You got to start there, man. You got to
Histo-
start in New York.
like historical pieces, but also like you said, it does hold up over time. It's not you don't feel like you're in another period of time when you listen to it. It
Yeah, like
doesn't.
if you put on like an LL Cool J album, like it doesn't sound like today, you know, like some people were just period pieces.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which I mean, no shade on that either. Like if you're making something, but it just doesn't hold up over time. Like any movie that has a flip phone, cell phone in it does not hold up at this point.
No, it doesn't.
So,
It
but
does the movie oh, fuck, what was that called? Col- What was the one in the payphone? What the fuck was that called?
wait.
Where it was just him in the payphone and there was like a sniper like on the other end and he was like
I know what you're talking about. I have to look it up now because
yeah,
it's gonna
I
bother
forget what
me.
it was. That was really bad though.
Phone booth.
Yeah, that's my 10 favorite albums of all time.
Very cool. I'm about it.
These were two of the funnest conversations that we've done.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this and going through and
Are we just a top 10 channel now? Top 10 favorite movies. Top 10 favorite scary movies.
Jurassic Park 1, Jurassic Park 2.
I guess you could pick them all for everything.
Yeah.
Favorite family movie. Jurassic Park 3.
Exactly.
Hell yeah.
But no, I've really enjoyed these episodes too. I like you said last week, you get some cool insight onto what each other's thinking, and I also get some new stuff to check out and listen to, which I'm never never disappointed by. So
Yeah.
did you have any honorable mention albums or?
The two honorable mentions I would have would have been probably Pablo from Kanye, just because I wasn't sure if it was that or Twisted Fantasy. That would be like the main one, and then the
Okay.
other one would probably be By the Way by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think it's just their best album.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
What about you?
The only one I had, it was a weird one because it was dropped as like one project, but it's technically an EP and a mixtape side by side. And
Okay.
it was Stone Mountain Kawaii by Childish Gambino.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the Stone Mountain songs, I realized when I was thinking through like what I would want to potentially
Kawhi was
consider.
better.
Yeah, Kawhi was great, but like the harsh and kind of roughness of Stone Mountain with all the different features from different Atlanta artists and everything.
Right.
Like I realized that I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and it's because Spotify doesn't have it on.
Uh,
And I
oh
didn't
god.
realize it, so I had to go to
Right.
YouTube to find it because apparently Spotify's like mixtapes aren't real albums because they're free. So
I can't
we
monetize
don't
them.
make money on it. So
Right.
yeah.
That sucks.
So I went back and was listening to some of that. And I'm like, yeah, like I really enjoy it. So that was really the two that the EP mixtape combo thing that I had as one of my honorable mentions because
Nice. No, that's a good pick.
really enjoy Childish Gambino. So
Great artist.
had to throw it on there for the honorables. But
Love a Gambino. Love me a good Gambino, especially
absolutely
with Childish.
same.
My bear tips.
That
Love him.
could have been another title.
Yeah, it could be. I'd rather not though.
No, I'm okay with it. But yeah, any final notes before we wrap this shindig up?
My legs are numb. That's my only note.
Uh,
Oh,
Legs are numb, knees weak, arms are heavy. We gotta
spaghetti.
we gotta say goodbye already. Thanks everyone for listening. This has been another episode of The Tall and Short of It. You can find us on anchor.fm / the tall and short, or sorry, tall and short of it, not the tall and short of it. Twitter at tall and short of the number 1. And you can find us on YouTube as well at The Tall and Short of It. Appreciate y'all listening.
Subscribe on YouTube. Peace out, everybody.
Later, guys.